2023 officially wrapped up, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about an F1 giant. A team which has been in the sport consistently ever since its existence. A team that has won the Constructors' Championship 16 times in the past and has taken multiple drivers' titles with multiple drivers over the years to take 15 World Drivers' Championships. We can of course only be talking about Ferrari. With 244 Grand Prix victories and 813 podiums, Ferrari is by far the most successful team on the grid. But looking at Ferrari's form ever since the turn of the decade, it could be a little difficult for the newer fans to believe these records. Even after their supposed resurgence last year, by the Japanese GP, Max had already secured his second championship. Albeit under confusing circumstances. However, Ferrari's difficulty in getting back to the top lies in something a little bit deeper. And to understand that, we will have to look at where this mess really began and study the curious case of Scuderia Ferrari. Let's rewind our clocks back to the beginning of the 2020 season, where after the grid was back to racing in a new 16-race condensed season, 3 teams were noticeably in the mud, as they say. All 3 teams using the Ferrari power units, those being Alfa Romeo, Haas, and of course, Ferrari had fallen off the pace noticeably. Seb was visibly uninterested in the interview questions for the first time in his entire F1 career. At the Austrian GP, or was it the Styrian? Or was it the Österreich GP? I don't even remember. After the same race has so many different names, it's very confusing. Anyway, the Ferraris qualified an abysmal P7 and P11 with Leclerc and Seb respectively, but Charles was able to drive the nuts off of that car to finally secure a P2 finish in the opening race. Don't take this seriously, however, as for one, Sebastian was barely able to hang on to the points in P10, and for seconds, half the bloody grid DNF'd that day. With only 11 drivers remaining, you'd really not expect Seb to finish behind Latifi, did you? Or maybe you did, some of you do come from Drive to Survive. But the very next Grand Prix, both drivers clattered into each other, ending both of their races. I'm not going to go into who was in the wrong, let's leave that can of worms aside. But what I am concerned with is neither Ferrari finished the race that day. But the real humblers were the Belgian and Italian GPs of that year, where on the 2 tracks where the Ferraris had been their fastest throughout their entire existence, they were, to put it mildly, absolutely donkey crap. And to further rub salt in the open wounds of every Ferrari fan and to the absolute horror of the Tifosi, neither Ferrari finished the Italian GP. Seb retired after his brakes failed and his Ferrari SF1000 turned into a $15 million bulldozer going straight through the styrofoam blocks placed at the runoff of the turn 1, giving this infamous message.
Brakes failed, no more brake pedal, brake line exploded.
I need to stop, charge the button on.
I can literally not stop the car, so I have to wait.
You can drive.
And Charles was fighting for a top 5 but ended up in the wall at the exit of the Parabolica corner. Yeah, not the greatest home race, eh? This luckily was the worst of the woes, as they had another highlight of the year, which was Sebastian's last podium for Ferrari. At the Turkish GP, Seb finally scored a podium, giving Seb fans something to cheer for. However, it also gave us this.
You did a good job. Really good job.
No, I did a job. I did a job. I did a job. That's it. I did a job. I am so sorry to the whole team. I am stupid.
You can't help but feel bad for the guy. He had an incredible race, driving around on icy cold and wet conditions around a newly resurfaced Istanbul park isn't really the easiest thing in the world to do. He went for silver but came home with rocks. Anyway, 2020 ended pretty much silently and 2021 was pretty much the same, other than 3 notable differences. Ferrari was comfortably back in the fight towards the upper midfield. 2. Seb left Ferrari and Sainz took his place. And 3. Charles Leclerc scoring 2 pole positions in Baku and Monaco respectively. He didn't take the victory on either of those days, however, as Baku has one of the longest straights in F1 and 2021 was pretty much all about Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. While in Monaco, his gearbox went on a strike after the battering it received from the crash the previous day in qualifying. They consistently scored more than McLaren that year and solidified P3 in the Constructors. However, the 2022 season and its new regulations is what the F1 paddock and the fans around the world were waiting for. And for once, everyone was on the Ferrari hype train. And to say they started the season well would be an understatement, as they were very much ahead of every other team other than Red Bull, and they won 2 out of the first 3 races, while Max DNF'd after engine failures in Bahrain and Australia. There can be absolutely no way Ferrari can mess this up, correct? Oh boy. To put it mildly, after the blunders of Britain and France, Ferrari had absolutely no chance. In Silverstone, Leclerc was left out on prehistoric tyres after a late race safety car and fell away at the restart, while Sainz, his teammate, went on to win his first race in F1. While in Paul Ricard, Leclerc shunted into the wall and retired while comfortably leading. Honestly, everyone is still confused about this crash, as this was in Paul Ricard, which is a track with bazillions of kilometers of run. Sorry about that, but France 2022 is definitely going to be like an open wound for any Leclerc fan for a very long time. Anyway, couple these two up with the retirement from the lead back at the Spanish GP, and Leclerc had managed to lose the Drivers' Championship as early as the Japanese GP. That's with 4 races still left in 2022. Not to take away from Max's incredible season, but Leclerc and Ferrari had the pace in 2022 to at least take the Drivers' World Championship. But due to unfortunate reliability issues, bad strategy calls, and well, Leclerc's inconsistency, they let it slip away. Remember, when something goes so wrong, there is absolutely no way that the entire blame can lie on the shoulders of just one party. Come 2023, Ferrari started off with pace worse than the resurgent Aston Martins. At the beginning of the season, they were still ahead of the Mercedes on pure pace, but the gap was smaller. However, the exact same issues of badly timed strategy calls and unfortunate reliability issues caused them in the end. When all was done and dusted, Ferrari lost P2 to Mercedes in the constructors by just 3 points. Even after more than a 12 race long pace advantage, even after all of the late lunges and dives, even after Leclerc literally strategizing at 200 miles an hour, Ferrari lost it all at the final race. Maybe next year, Ferrari fans wouldn't get their hopes up. Maybe they would protect themselves from the torture that comes from being a part of the Tifosi and take care of their sanity. Meh, who are we kidding? We're Ferrari fans. Even if the world comes to an end, we would still say next year is our year. If you're listening to this, it means you've reached the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and if you guys enjoyed, hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel, as I'm trying to make this thing work. Also, don't forget to share the video and all of those YouTube smanchy stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.